Hey, hello guys. Hi everyone. I hope that you're doing fine. Today we're gonna start with our first class and we're gonna start with unit number 7 that is called Echo. Okay, so let's start with the first exercise that is a reading and vocabulary. It says, work with a partner. Look at the picture below and discuss these questions. Okay, so over here we have a picture and you're gonna ask these questions with your partner. Remember that I told you that in speaking exercises you're gonna call or you're gonna send voice messages to your classmate. Okay, so pause the video and do it. Finish? Very good. Now let's move on to the exercise number 2. It says, read the news report. Are these statements true or false? So let's read this news report. It says, breaking news, climate march. Read it in your book, and when you finish you're gonna decide if these statements are true or false. Okay, so pause the video, read the lecture and do the exercise. When you finish, play the video again and we're gonna check the answers. Okay, here we have the answers. Check if you were correct any mistake if necessary, and let's move on. Look at the highlighted phrases in the article. Find phrases with similar meaning in the sentences in exercise 2. Okay, first of all, let's take a look to these phrases that are highlighted. Here we have them. Okay, these are the phrases that are highlighted. And we're gonna check which of these are similar to any of the words or phrases from these sentences. For example, in the letter A we have the word protesters. Is there any of these words that is similar to protesters? Yes, marchers. Okay, so like that, check one word or phrase from each sentence and see if it is similar to one of these phrases or words. Okay, pause the video and do it. Okay, if you haven't finished, I'm gonna give you a little help. These are the words that you're gonna change. Okay, so we have political message, wanted world, participated in, went to see, and very busy. Okay, for example, political message. What is the word that you think that it's similar to political message? Slogan. Okay, like that. Do the exercise, and when you finish I will give you the answers. So pause the video and do it. Okay, now here are the answers. Please check that your answers are correct. If they're not, correct them. Okay, once that you have finished checking your answers, we're gonna continue with the next page, which is a reading and vocabulary. Okay, sorry, a listening and vocabulary. It says, listen to interviews with 4 protesters at the climate change march, and you're gonna match each person with an opinion. Okay, so here we have 4 opinions and 4 people. You have to match. If you think that Jake said the number 1, you write a letter B. If you think that Debbie said the number 3, here you write letter C. Okay, I'm gonna play the audio, so please pay attention. Here it goes.
Unit 7, Track 1. Joe, 26.
I work for an organization called Eco Vacations, and we're demonstrating against mass tourism. I'm not against tourism, but I believe in responsible tourism. We're against big hotels and big tour groups. With Eco Vacations, you can really experience the local culture. We organize accommodations with local families. Would you like some information about our vacations?
Jake, 14.
I'm having a good time with my friends. It's my first demonstration. I don't feel strongly about politics, but I'm worried about global warming. I don't really care about people. They can take care of themselves. I'm in favor of protecting wild animals. I want to help polar bears and penguins. If the ice caps melt, where will they live?
Debbie, 37.
I'm here because we're destroying the planet. I'm protesting against multinational companies. They're polluting our rivers and oceans, and they're causing global warming. I'm in favor of small, family-run companies. I'm against food imports. I support local farmers, and I buy food from farmers markets, not large grocery stores.
Carlos, 27. I'm riding my bicycle today because I'm against big cars in the city. I'm not anti-cars. In fact, I have a car. But I just think more people should use public transportation. Leave your car at home. Ride a bicycle.
Okay. Now, if you couldn't complete the exercise, you can play the audio again and again. Don't worry. Now, I'm going to give you the answers so that you can corroborate. Here they are. Well done. Now, for the exercise number 2, here we have some sentences, and you have to complete them with the words from the box. For example, I'm not anti-cars. I just think that more people should use public transportation. If you need to, you can play the audio again. So, let's do it. All done? Very good. I'm gonna give you the answers so that you can check them. Here they are. Correct any mistakes, if any. And let's move on. Okay, now for the next exercise, you have to decide which statement do you agree with. What other things do you feel strongly about? And you have to discuss with a partner, okay? So let's do this exercise, and when you finish, we continue. We're going to see a grammar topic, but first it says, look at the sentences and questions. We have this sentence and these questions below, and you're gonna answer the questions A and C. Let's see. The sentence says, Joe believes in responsible tourism. Okay, so we have the Joe is the subject, that verb is believe in, and the object is responsible tourism. Now, who believes in responsible tourism? Joe. Very good. Then, what does Joe believe in? Responsible tourism. Okay. Today's topic is subject questions. What is this? When we answer to the question who, we are talking about the subject, John. Who hates cars? John. Who believes in responsible tourism? Joe. Very good. And when we answer to the question what, we're talking about the object of the sentence. John hates cars. What does John hate? Cars. Okay, so this is the subject is when we answer to the question who, and the object is when we answer to the question what. Very good. Now, let's continue. Here it says, when you make an object question in simple present or simple past, you must use an auxiliary and the base form of the verb. So when you ask what, you have to use an auxiliary and the base form. For example, we have he likes cars. If you want to ask with what, you're going to say, what does he like? Cakes. Sorry, I said cars, right? Cakes. What does he like? Cake. As you can see, like we're asking what, we have to use does and the base form, like. Another example could be they buy gifts. So we're gonna say what, but instead of does, like it's they, we're gonna say do. Very good. What do they buy? Okay, buy in base form, gifts. Very good. So when you ask an object question, so when you ask what, you must use an auxiliary. If it is in present, do or does. If it is in past, did, and the base form of the verb. What does he like? Cakes. What do they buy? Gifts. But if you ask a subject question, when you ask who, you don't use any auxiliary. For example, here it says who believes. We don't say who does believe. You just write the verb in present or past. Like here it says who believes in present. If we have a sentence like this, Anna works here, and we want to say who, how would you say this question? Who works here? Yeah, you write the sentence, the verb, sorry, in simple present. Who works here? Anna. Nice. Then, the Beatles played rock music. If we want to ask who, the verb is gonna be the same in past. Who played rock music? The Beatles. Okay, very good. Okay guys, moving on to the next section, we have the pronunciation topic. In the exercise number 1, we have look at some words ending in shan. Say the words and add them to the table. Okay? So all of these words end with the pronunciation shan, but some of them have 3 syllables, some of them have 4 syllables, and some of them have 5 syllables. Pay attention that always the stressed syllable is the one that is before shan. For example, demonstration, tration. This is the stressed syllable, the one that is before shan. In this case, there are 4 syllables, demonstration. And the stressed one is the one before shan. So let's do it. You're gonna classify these words in these tables. It's very easy. If it has 3 syllables, A, 4 syllables, B, and 5 syllables, C. For example, distraction. How many syllables does it have? Distraction. 3. Distraction. Okay? So I'm gonna play the audio and do the exercise.
Track 2. A.
Destruction. Pollution. Solution.
B.
Demonstration. Education. Explanation. Revolution.
C.
Modernization. Organization.
Very good. If you finish, let's move on to the next topic, which is a grammar topic. Now, we're gonna see dynamic and stative meanings. First of all, it says, look at the verbs in this extract from the interviews on page 65. Answer the questions. Here it says, I'm having a good time with my friends. They are polluting our rivers. Do the verbs describe actions or states? Have a good time. Is this an action or a state, a feeling? Polluting, is it an action or state? It is an action. Okay? Let's see. When we have a verbs with dynamic meaning, it means that these verbs describe actions. When we literally do something with, or when we physically do something. For example, when we walk, when we talk, when we destroy, when we write, take something, we sing, we dance, we are doing something, we are doing actions. And we can use these actions in progressive form. Dynamic verbs can be used in progressive form. For example, He's having lunch now. Okay, you can use simple or progressive forms with dynamic meanings. Then when we talk about stative meanings, verbs with stative meanings, these describe states. For example, feelings, possession, knowledge. For example, the verbs love, hate, have, but when you have something like have a cell phone, have a relationship, have a brother, know, understand, and believe. Pay attention. With these verbs, nothing happens. Okay? We say that nothing happens because we're not taking an action. It's just, for example, love, it's a feeling. You're not doing anything physically. Hate is also a feeling. Then when you have knowledge, when you know something or when you understand something, you're not physically doing something. That's why these verbs have a stative meaning. And these verbs can be used in progressive form. Okay, you cannot say I am believing that I do. No, I am understanding. Okay, you cannot use progressive form of these verbs, the verbs with stative meanings. Here it says use simple form only, not progressive. Okay, now we're gonna practice an exercise of dynamic and stative meanings. Let's see. Here we have. Rewrite the sentences by putting the verbs in parentheses in the present progressive. Okay, remember that only the verbs that are dynamic can be used in present progressive. So all of these verbs are dynamic. So pause the video, do the exercise, and when you finish, play it again so that you can see the answers. Finish? Very good. Here are the answers so that you can check them. Take your time, correct any mistake. As you can see, you have all the verbs in ing form because that is the progressive. Don't forget the verb be. People are, a student is, a teacher in our class is. Very good. Now let's move on to the next exercise. This exercise says, look at the verbs in two more extracts from the interviews and answer the questions. So we have, I want to help polar bears. I have a car. What are the verbs? Want and have. Do the verbs describe actions or states? Are we describing something we do physically or just a state? States. Very good. What is the name of the tense used in each extract? It is simple present. Want, have. Not wanting, not having. Now, is it possible to use progressive tense with verbs when they describe a state? Can we say I am wanting or I am having a car? No, we cannot say this. Okay? Now, pay attention. Some verbs can have dynamic and stative meanings. Like we already said, dynamic is when you do an action, and stative when you have a feeling, when you have a knowledge, when you are describing a state. But there are some verbs that can be used in dynamic and in stative. For example, in dynamic we can say I am having a good day. You can use have as dynamic, but it must be that you have a good day, you have breakfast, not talking about possession like in this case. I have two pets. You cannot say I am having two pets because in this case you are talking about possession, right? Another example is when you say think. When you say think in ing is that you are thinking on doing something, that you're planning something. I am thinking on studying harder. But if you say think, it means that you are giving an opinion. I think that we need help. You cannot say I am thinking that we need help because that is another meaning. But yes, there are some verbs that can have dynamic and stative meaning. Okay, now let's practice this by doing this exercise. It says, look at the verbs in parentheses. Do they describe an action or state? Complete the sentence with the simple present or present progressive. Now, you have to pay attention, guys, because we have think, twice, have twice, and look twice, because these verbs can be in dynamic or stative verbs. But what's the difference? Well, what you're trying to say. For example, Sue is thinking of going out this evening. She is planning that. Okay, she's thinking. But Rosa thinks working in an office is boring. It's her opinion. That's why it's stative. So here we have the rest of the exercises. You have to use present simple or present progressive. So pause the video and do it, and when you finish, play it back and check the answers. Okay, if you finish, here are the answers. Take a look to them, correct any mistakes that you may have. For example, here, Marta has a new pet. We cannot say Marta is having a new pet because it's a possession. It cannot be progressive when talking about possession. Then Jane likes James Bond movie. To like something is something stative. You cannot say Jane is liking James Bond. No, you like it or not. It's not a progressive form. Well, guys, when you finish this exercise, please continue by doing the workbook exercises related to the topics we saw today. Remember, I'm gonna check the workbook when we come back, so it's better that you practice these topics with the workbook now and don't let it until the end of the partial. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. I hope that you understood everything. If you didn't, please send me a message. I'm gonna be available to answer for any doubt that you may have. Don't hesitate on asking me, and that's gonna be it for today.